It's all gone off. It's not working. No, now it's on. Sorry. Yeah, good afternoon. We had a little technical problem. We seem to have fixed it. Now, I just watched the video by Jody Lowe. He's 100% correct. Everything he said, including our friend Derek, even though we don't agree on everything, we don't intend to agree on everything because he's got his views, I got mine. The only thing you don't do is you don't get them to sign it if they don't want to. You just chuck it on the desk and say, there's my answer. I'm here. You don't have any candidates. So that's fine. Now, when it comes to the lots, I want to let you in on a secret. In Western Australia, the Mundies owned all the airport. Lois Mundy worked Lois Mundy worked in Mills and Ware's factory during the war. She was native, proper, with everything to go with it. She had everything. She had beautiful kids. We're still friends. We've been friends all our lives. They don't look really dark skinned because apparently from where they come from, they aren't. They're all light. She married Norm King and they become the Kings. I've told a couple of them that they are part Aboriginal. Anyway, we had an incident a couple of years ago with Colin Barnett. He was the so-called premier. He tried to shut down all communities, native communities. But he's just a moron because he is part Aboriginal. How much, I don't know. But he's related to the Mundys through the Humphreys. I know the Humphreys. I actually did the paperwork to file for a parliamentary inquiry into why someone in his family or him were holding a large sum of money on behalf of the Humphreys and wouldn't give it to them. So from that point of view, it's fine. Anyway, I'm looking at all the things last night, and this is what I'm going to bring up. First, we have some clown say all the European people are going to, white people or whatever, are going to be kicked out of this country. No, we're not. No, we're not. We're not Europeans. You have no idea. You say we're racist. You say you're not racist. If you are going to get us kicked out on the colour of our skin because that's the only voice regardless and we're going to do what we're told, well, we're not. We're not. I'll tell you that now. If you think 300,000 or 400,000 people are going to push 26.5 million people out of this country, you're a dreamer. Stop smoking wacky weed. You've got to be stupid to make those claims. I looked at it. Ernie Dingo did put that welcome to country and smoking ceremony together. If it ever existed before, I've been in a lot of communities and Aboriginal groups, native groups I prefer to call them, and it wasn't what you're saying. It never ever was there. And what really annoys me, you're causing dissension in this country for no good reason. Why? What do you hope to gain if you took every European person out of here? How are you going to run this country? Oh, you're going to get out and drive a tractor round and round and round to plough the paddocks? You're going to put the seed in and grow it? You claim, or somebody in your group on a different podcast to what I saw, claims that you grew all these crops. You built all these buildings. You had these fish farms. Hogwash. Absolute lies. The pyramids were not built by you. Those buildings were not built by you. We did not come here and demolish it. We didn't rip up your towns because you didn't have them. We didn't rip up your crops. You didn't have them. And if you get control of Bathurst racing track, then the people there are stupid to let you do it. Come and boot you off. You don't own the land. If you are a true native of this country, the land owns you. Are you a caretaker of the land? Of course. Everybody born on the land is a caretaker. Look after the land for the benefit of who? Everybody. The Constitution says, whereas the people of New South Wales, Queensland, Victoria, Tasmania, South Australia and Western Australia join together in one indissoluble federation of the Commonwealth of Australia. Oh, we've got to add Aboriginals to the Constitution. It's indissoluble, but they're there. Where are they? In the state constitutions. Every native shall be fed. Every native shall be clothed. Every native shall be housed. Every native shall be given a small amount of money. You aren't given a small amount, you're given a huge amount. You tried it in court and then you found, oh, look at that. Look at all the money. The people, the government don't exist, the people through the taxes are pouring into you. And that's how it should be. I'm not saying you shouldn't get any money. I'm saying the corporations, which are the Aboriginal machine, which are not the natives, they are obtaining large sums of money in the vicinity of $52 billion a year. And where's it going? You go down the road from here, you've got Bundiera Corporation. They bought some land. They built some buildings. They're currently getting about 27 short-stay houses built there. Who's paying it? You got all the money from the federal parliament. We've got no problem with any of that. We want you to get exactly what we got. When we voted, it was 90.2% voted to give you everything we got. The rest were politicians and political parties because they didn't ever think we'd vote that way. That's how bent and twisted these morons are. And yet, look at that, good old Thomas Mayo. You're not an Aboriginal, you're a Filipino or from the island of Sulawesi or whatever else. It doesn't matter. You were not born here. I was. I'm accepted into the Aboriginal groups. I have an Aboriginal name. I don't have to prove anything to you. Why was I given it? Because they accepted me, because I helped them. It is an absolute honour to receive that. I didn't go looking for it. I was told. I accepted it. What do? I go out of my way to help people. I don't like to put up with people who said, oh, Captain Cook did this and he left here and he was down the coast. You have no idea what you're talking about. None. I did a video last year or a couple of years ago anyway, in relation to Captain Cook. It was done by an anthropologist who went on the Endeavour, the one built here in Western Australia. Went on it, covered Cook's trips. And in his submission to the university in America, he wrote a complete story about Cook that's not in our history books. So that person who claimed to know everything, sorry, you're wrong. Somebody lied to you. Sorry, that's the case. Cook never went to a particular section of the coast. He went straight onto the reef, Barrier Reef. Took 3 days to get off it. He went straight to the mainland. He thought it was an island. He called it Cook Island, which is now Cooktown, I believe. I don't know. I don't have to know. All I have to know is the story from him. He left there and went to New Zealand. So the story about the thousands of natives ready to take him on and slaughter him and all the rest of it was just nonsense. Now, he eventually went to Hawaii. He shot one of the Hawaiian chiefs. He turned to run away and got stabbed in the back. And then, as a joke, but it's the truth, Cook got cooked. Interesting? Yes. What went back to England, his thigh, I believe, from what the people who looked into it actually found. They got eaten. So what? He committed murder, he got the end result. The issue is now, somehow a map of Australia just got produced with all these little areas on it. Well, I'll tell you now, the person who put that up and told you that should be arrested and charged with treason and treachery to overturn the Constitution. That map is a load of crap. How do I know that? You go to Kalgoorlie. Most of Kalgoorlie, Boulder, north, right up to Leonora, is one big section belonging to 6 or 7 different clans. Where are they? Different tribes, whichever you way to want them. I know because I actually worked with some of the people that are on there to help them when they were locked in a court case in Kalgoorlie. And we sat down and he showed me where all those maps are. That chops your whole map and throws it in the bin. But go further. You've got people in Bunbury where Noongars. That's interesting. If the Parliament would stop lying to you, and the museum at Albany would stop lying to you, you would find out that when the governor of Albany went there, they found out that people were catching white people's diseases and dying. There was no way of preventing it. So even if they left, the diseases are there. They've been introduced. So he brought linguists out from England, taught them English, so he could document their history. And documented it all. Took old-fashioned photos. You know, the old poof ones. All the people were around 4'6", 4'7" high because they were Negritos. They never come above Wagen through to Busselton, that area, down to Augusta, through to Esperance. They stayed in that area. They were Noongars, according to what used to be on there. I was 18 and a half, no, I was actually 20 when I went down there with my cousin, in a little Ford Anglia I had. We went to the museum, we read up on all of that, we looked at it all. When I went back, 15 years later, it was gone. When I questioned the lady there, she gave me the number of the curator. So I rang him and said, where's all those photos and where's all that evidence? Oh, we've got it stored away for safekeeping. I said, safekeeping or concealing? Oh, safekeeping, we wouldn't conceal it. I said, why don't you modify this building so the damp doesn't get in so you can keep them there? That's the history of Albany. Why isn't it there? They just ignored it, as they do. They're government, they know everything, but they're not government. They're just traders. Now, when you go to Bunbury, when they filled in a large area in Cabana Bay, here is a claimant, apparently native according to him, who was standing in this area of ground with somebody from the council. And he made this claim, this is where we had a corroboree, this is where we got this site, this is where we got that site. And the councillor said to him, well, that's funny, because we've put 10 feet or more of fill in this area. So you were sitting in a puddle of water up over your head, were you? He got up and walked away, wouldn't answer. It was on the thing. Why haven't the media put this out and said, no, you didn't have a claim on here? I don't know if those people at Bunbury are actual Noongars. If they move from down south up to there, I can't see how high they are. So I'm not going to say anything against them. They claim that they're elders. Are they? Are they direct descendants of those people down there? I don't know. But to put a thing around there and around the airport and around Perth and say they're all Noongars, right out to on Beachborough Road, Calicabati, halfway between Marshall Road and Nangara Road on the western side. The government went there, or Parliament went there and had built all these houses for them, and they all moved out there. They wanted that land, they got it, and they built the houses. Are they still there? I don't know. Then you go to Saunders Street off West Swan Road. They built a heap of houses there. Now, they all claimed to be Noongars. The Brofos were there. Well, the Brofos came over with the Stuart troop, boxers. Travelled around Australia earning money. There was Morgan, no, not Morgan, it was Thomas Nathaniel, Albert, Frank, and Robert, and Bella, and Omar Brofo. Nice enough people. Whatever they did after I run into them and become acquainted with them, I don't know. If it was criminal, I believe one of them did. Him paid the price. Not something of my doing. I've spent my life helping people. Sometimes not as good as I should, but to the best of my ability at that time, I have. You know, you look at Anthony Albanese. He made out, oh, I was brought up in a council flat, we live like this and we live like that. Every single thing you said is a lie. What I've asked, and I expect you to answer, Anthony Albanese, produce the letter or the document from Deedpoll to show that you changed your name lawfully. Isn't it a fact, Anthony, that your relatives, the Anthonys, the Ellerys, mind you, were not so very nice people? The Ellerys were not very nice people. They got involved in a lot of different things. Some, I believe, were criminal. I don't care. They are gone. You don't criticise people who do stupid things. You just put it down as you can't change. Yeah, I know. You've got to understand, we want truth from you. You went to Italy, you found your father. Your mother had an affair. Your dad wasn't killed in a car accident like some claim or any of the other nonsense that comes on. If your name's Ellery, it's Ellery. If it's Albanese, then put your name. If you change it by deed poll, all you have to do is change it by deed poll. I lived up in a reasonably privileged life, and you did. All your school fees were paid for, you went to school, you went to university, you came out of there a fully fledged communist, antisocial, nasty little specimen who tells lies. And look at the amount of lies you've told in this election alone. Just look at them. Time to fess up. How much involvement, Penny Wong, do you have with the Chinese government, and why? Why? Why would you ever have an involvement with the Chinese? Oh, you're a foreign minister. No, you're not. No, you're not. You see, we have a system of government. The Governor-General, if she was lawful, but she's not. She's a traitor. She hasn't sworn the lawful oath. She's not doing the right thing, except misleading and deceiving the people. Winnie Pong. Ah, yeah, thanks, Rex. Nice. Not. Now, the Governor-General, after an election, selects 10 from the lower house, the House of Representatives, 8 from the upper, and forms the executive government. Read the Constitution, it's there. He gives them the portfolios. The executive government is not the cabinet. They don't exist in law. They're run and controlled by political parties who are filthy traitors and liars. Never been elected correctly. Now, the people who hold the portfolios run the public service along with the Governor-General. I'm talking about federal level. The problem is, as I've shown you, and I can prove it, I've got copies made now, of the original Constitution of Western Australia with 32 sections missing. I've got a copy of the lawful one, which is letters patent. Every state had them. Western Australia never put its in. So Western Australia was not lawfully constituted. It was put in place under 107, 108 and 109. And I don't care if somebody thinks that's not correct. I produced the letters patent yesterday and showed you that it was a letters patent, put the Constitution in place. And I've got it. If you want a copy, stop telling lies, ask me and you'll get it. Now, let's get to the crux of this whole thing. Whereas the people, in the Commonwealth Constitution, is there a reference to natives? Yes. They are to be educated and taught the religion. They don't have to believe it. They don't have to get involved. They don't have to renounce theirs because of 116 of the Constitution. Oh, but that's not suitable, is it? You got the little handbook along with yours, no preamble. Yeah. The preamble's there and you can't take it off and it stays there. It's as simple as that. Now, to get back to all these people making these claims of this and that and the other, and how you had all these buildings, then you put yourself up as an educated person, and I can see you've had some form of education. Some form. How much? Doesn't look like very much by the way you talk. You could improve the way you speak about people, and that's all there is to it. You need to. Now, if everything you say and the Aboriginal machine, because there's a machine there put together by Penny Wong, and it's deliberately there to try and educate people that all these wonderful things were done by the natives of this country. Well, no. If they did, how come they went from building pyramids, building all these things that lined up the stars and did all these things that are claimed, and had all these things to walk around throwing spears at animals to kill them, to eat them, and not doing any of that? Come on, stop being silly. Stop believing the lies. Stop believing any of it. Go and look it up. It's all there. All you have to do is look for it. The fact that the university, schools and the parliament doesn't teach you the truth is just a way of life. Look outside there. The truth is there. Go talk to the communities. They'll show you. This country was known as Beulah Land for a heck of a lot of years. There's no 50, 20, 50, 90, 100 million years. That is all nonsense. Depends how much heat you put on something to the level of carbonisation it takes up. How do you then carbon date something? Yeah, right. You're off with the fairies, you people. I'm not talking about the natives. I'm talking about the clowns that do carbon dating and come up with the 50,000, 40,000, but it never changes. If 10 years ago it was 40,000, it'd be 40,000 and 10 years ago. You can't even work out what you're saying is nonsense. Yeah, Julie, we are sovereign and supreme. Everybody. Now, I want to tell you something, and you should listen to this. The people where I am are part native. Their grandfather fought in the war, as did a lot of native people. Were they recognised? Yes. Did they get medals? Yes. Service medals? They got exactly what white people. Did they get a pension? No, nor did the people who fought in the war. Nor did they. But the ones that actually went there and fought for this country, they fought just as hard, if not harder, than anybody else. Just as hard, if not harder, than anybody else. They didn't go there and say, I'm a native, I want all this. They went there to defend this country, just like everybody else who left this great country to go there to defend this country. You want to do welcome to country. We didn't come into the country, so why do you want to welcome us? We were born in it. You were born in it. What's the difference between you and me? The colour of our skin. So if there's any racism, which is a load of crap, we're not different races. We're different societies from different parts of the country. Multicultural is crap. Can't work, didn't work, hasn't worked. End of the story. Wake up. All you're trying to do is confuse people. This country needs a clean out. You want to claim to be a native? That's no problem. Should you be given extra privileges? Not necessarily. If you have a claim to any part of the land for religious purposes, not a problem. Do I believe the rainbow snake crawled out anywhere? No. Bob Brofo had his own version of the woggle, which was another mythical snake, none of which had rainbow colours. So who prepared this one? We got a rainbow snake. And for that, people have to pay because Dodgy Roger, the criminal in Western Australia, the treasonous little maggot, decided he could make money out of it. It's like carbon. As I explained yesterday, volcanoes put more in the atmosphere than ever the population of the world could ever do. And that doesn't go up and comes right back down and fills all the valleys. So how does the car get it up? You are acting like a pack of clowns. Only bird brains would believe that you've got some claim on this place. If you go to, say you just go to Bustleton, and you go down, that's all the Noongar's territory there, and you come up above there, so you're going to move it up. Then you get to the airport, oh, look at that. That was Humphreys. That was the other mob who actually owned the land. I know, I grew up with them and their kids. So I'm not talking about what some clown is trying to push over so that you can push and say, oh, we're going to have the voice whether you like it or not. No. As I said before, 5,000 natives went to Alice Springs and prayed and voted against what you're trying to do. They don't want it. Why do you want it, Albanese? Because you're a communist, a traitor, and you want to divide the nation. That's what you want to do, because you're a criminal. Why would anybody vote for you bunch of criminals? There are no lawful candidates. Whether you believe Derek or you believe me or you believe both of us, there are no lawful candidates. There is an act of the British Parliament that denotes or states how candidates are put together. Political parties don't exist. Now you've got a bigger problem. Every government department, everyone, has an ABN number. So-called local government, all your amenities, the whole lot have ABN numbers. The Constitution is clear. Internal and external corporations or companies come under the legislative authority of the Federal Parliament under 51 subsection 20. That's exclusive. Now you've got a huge big problem because it says, and it follows, companies formed under state legislation once formed come under federal legislative authority. So if you want to exercise authority anywhere in this country, you have to show what federal legislation allows you to operate in a state or anywhere else under state legislation, because the Constitution is clear. You come under federal legislative authority. Where does it say it involves the states? It doesn't. Can the states legislate in relation to companies? No. No, they can't. It's exclusive to the Federal Parliament. So all you corporations, native corporations, and there's a few, I'll come back to Bundyara in a minute, because I think what they're doing is excellent. Really doing a good job. Except for a couple of things they need to look at very seriously and very quick. And that's nothing to do with what I'm talking about. But if you've got an ABN number or an ACN number, you're under federal legislative authority. Nothing to do with states. There's all this bulldust about, oh, it's just for GST. Well, I've told you before, any law in relation to tax should deal with one subject of tax only. Goods and services, two subjects of tax. Don't be stupid, it doesn't exist in law. So, but they're not there. They're registered in America under the Foreign Agents Registration Act as foreign agent government entities and come back into Australia under the Corporations Act. These are all your public utilities. Don't believe me? Go and have a look. You don't believe me? You have the right to prosecute them in America under the US Department of Justice under that Act, Foreign Agent Registration Act. Now, when they come here, how do they register? They've got to have an ABN number to come in this country. So they're registered under Fair Work Act Australia. Section 30, subsection A says, look at that, every single employee of their councils, no matter who they are, is personally responsible for every offence they commit. Every political party has an ABN number, all registered as foreign agent government entities through FIRA and come into Australia under the Fair Work Act of Australia. Now, I know this is going to be a hard one to follow. People reckon there's $1.2 trillion, debt. I don't care if there is. You know why? Because each of those employees of those companies are responsible for that money. Did we borrow it? No. Did we use it? No. Did we have any input to it? No. Did we authorise you to borrow it? No. No one's ever said where it went, but no one, I don't care, and no one should. Because the political parties are responsible for that debt. So is every single employee sitting in the councils, in all the public utilities, the whole lot are responsible for that $1.2 trillion debt. We're not. We are not. So you have a long, hard list of it. But I need to say something else, because it should come up and is going to. If you want to claim to be a native of this country, because the state constitution state every native shall be fed, every native shall be clothed, every native shall be housed, every native shall be given a small portion of money. Right up until half caste. Why is that in there? Because Queen Victoria realised as you interbreed, and it's happened quite a bit of times, whether it's voluntary or involuntary, that's not the issue I'm talking about. If you have, and you are less than 50% native, then you're partial European, or whatever other country you come from. Or like Albanese, half Italian, half Australian. Is he going to admit to that? It doesn't really matter to me. My parents, my father was born in Kalgoorlie, 1923, in the Boulder Hospital. My mother was born in Bunbury. They're Australians. They are native to this country, indigenous to this country. You want to call it any otherwise, you're going to have to try and do it through a court system. But therein is going to be your biggest problem, because the first thing I want, if you're going to make a claim against me to remove me from the country, I have a DNA test. I am Australian. I was born here. Maybe I was part Irish, part Spanish, part Welsh, part English, and part whatever. Heinz 57, in fact. Doesn't matter. The young bloke mouthing off, you don't look like you're 100% native. Are you 1/2? 1/4? 1/8? 1/64? Bob Hawke knew there was a problem, so he purportedly passed an act. He can't pass nothing, but he passed an act saying, if you live with or accepted by, you're a native. What a brain-dead fool. He should have gone to school. If you're born in a country, you're native to that country. End of the story. If you're born there, you're indigenous. How can you be anything? Oh, you've got all this blood in you. But what have you got in you? The people here found out they're Polynesian. Quite a few people I know are Indian or different nationalities. They were born here. They were born here. They are native. We don't owe all this money. Stop the lies. Vote in nobody. I, Wayne Kenneth of the Family Glue, attended at your polling booth to vote on this date. There were no lawful candidates, and there aren't any. It's a lawful statement. The only question of law is why not? Why haven't you complied? Sign it and date it. If you want to witness my signature, sign this one. I'll take it. Here's yours. You can sign that too if you like. Not a problem. Be very accommodating. Stop these stupid arguments trying to work out, I'm better than you. Look at Thomas Mayo. Where's he going to go? Chop him in half and he can go half to the Philippines and the other half to another country. Is that what you want, Thomas? And that clown from the Greens won't even go near the Australian flag, but he'll go near the other flags that are not lawful. Why aren't they lawful? Not because they can't have them. Don't get me wrong. This is not against those people. This is against you coming out using the black flag, black power colours, which it is from Africa, same colours, and then declaring that's our flag. You're getting ochre from Western Australia. How did you get it across the country? Did you fly? Did you go in canoes? No, you didn't, because it never come from there. There's ochre deposits in lots of other places. If there isn't, then you didn't have any. Kirribilli is public housing. It is. It's paid for by the public. Now, before you start sticking your neck out, understand this. If you want to claim you're a native and you want me to go back to where I come from, which is 6 bits at least, maybe more, then you get a DNA test and prove you're 100% or at least 50%. If you can't do that, there is no court in this country could ever determine it. Because to determine it in the court, you would have to be part of the Commonwealth. You're trying to say, oh no, we're separate. We got our own sovereign nation. You never had a sovereign nation. The only sovereign nation in this country on record is the Commonwealth of Australia. Otherwise, prove the documents. Don't say I drew these stick men and I did this and I did that and I put all these other symbols there. They're Egyptian symbols because they were here first. What's the difference if they were here first? Oh, because we got it wrong with our first lot of narrative and now we've had all these farms and we built all these houses. Where did you get all the materials? How did you carry them there? Stop talking garbage. Start talking truth. I don't want you to be distance from us. And what I wanted to say to Bundiara, they should have used federal money to build those short stay houses. They didn't. But the Western Australian government stepped in, Parliament, and out of our taxpayers' money, they built all those houses, around 27 of them. They are necessary. They are necessary because the Parliament, the same Parliament, has gone round all the country towns and got rid of all the hospitals, the medical facilities, doctors, nurses, everything that's necessary when you've got mining towns. So now the mining towns have to have their own, have to be able to have a flying doctor or get to the flying doctor to go to Perth. Most of the time now you've got to go from Geraldton to Perth if it's any more than a scratch on your leg. How sensible is that? Used to be different? It's not. Now, the one thing that gets up my nose, on the southwest corner of the racecourse, straight over the road from these short stay houses, is a massive big tower with 5G heads on it. If people get the jab, and if science is correct, and 5G affects it, and it can even kill them, then they've built that right there, under that tower, and they turn it on. All those people in those houses that have had the jab are going to get fried. Is that the truth? I don't know. I'm saying it ain't. But if you sit and have a look at the science, would you risk it? Would you go to those places? And the only other thing I can query is when you go to all these towns, the majority of people are white, except for a couple of towns. I can take you to some that are almost all native. or original native, and there's quite a few of them, where is their short stay houses? There is no housing in Geraldton. You've got 60 odd houses boarded up, and you won't fix them to remove and rectify the housing shortage. You're not going to do that. That's all lies, Albanese. And if you don't do it, as soon as you don't do it, we have the authority under Clause 61 of Magna Carta to boot you out. Am I inciting people to commit an indictable offence? There's no indictable offence. There's never been a lawful federal parliament. There's no lawful state parliaments to pass any of the laws. So you can take all of that and use it for dunny paper. That's an Australian expression if you haven't worked it out. That's all it's good for. It's not law. It's not statutes, not acts, but it wouldn't matter if it is. It's already under seizure because it's held in fraud until you prove its authenticity, and you can't. Many walked across these lands historically. What Egyptians were here as well. How interesting. Karina Ann, go and look at the hieroglyphics and everything. The fact that there's several, not one, not two, at least 7 that I've been told about. Some I've seen actual pictures of, pyramids in this country. If you think anyone here who walks around and goes travelling, hunts for food and everything else, has no machinery, no nothing, built those pyramids or any of those buildings without machinery, that's a nonsense. But cop this, they accuse white people of destroying yeah, I get that, Jody. I agree. The problem we have is they said white people come here, destroyed all their farms, wiped it all out, took over everything, destroyed all their buildings. With what? Did they take their ships up on the land and drive them across the land with wind? Come on, stop talking nonsense. You are not going to get what you want. You cannot get rid of 26 million people for the benefits of a couple 100,000. That won't happen. Are you going to bring the Chinese in? No, you're not that stupid. And if you do, you're going to lose. You see, when you look at the legislation in Western Australia, this is how dumb, dodgy Roger and our other clown that was supposedly our Premier is. The Communist Manifesto is 2 steps forward, 1 back. When they brought out the Aboriginal Heritage Act, it had all these things stretched right up. Cullerton objected, and he comes out and says, and he did, look, they're going to withdraw all that and get rid of the whole act. Did they? No. They took 1 step back. Now they stepped 1 step further again. Was that election lawful? No. The political parties selected the candidates. The governor had no input into it. Therefore, the company that did it in treason. Every politician, every political party here that allowed it were complicit in treason. There's no other way to do it. So, you have a lovely day. I'm going to have a break from all of this. I'm not interested if you want to argue with each other. I do watch what comes up on Facebook, Instagram, all those things. I watch them all. And I sit there and laugh at the stupidity of some of the people. When you see a guy with a beard, unshaven for 6 or 7 days, they call that a beard apparently, who's whiter than me, and boy, you have to be pretty white to be whiter than me, walking around saying I'm an Aboriginal and has got a kangaroo skin hung across him, threatening all these white people, you're going back to Europe? What are you going to do? How are you going to do anything? Stop talking garbage. I'm not making any threats. I'm stating, how are you going to convince 26 million people they've got to dump everything they've got and go and live overseas and they don't even know where they came from? You can turn around and you can put the biggest load of crap on here, make all these stories up, say, oh, we're hard done by, and you run around all clean shaven with good clothes and everything else. So where's the problem? Where is the problem? It's in your head. Somebody has put garbage there. Stop listening. You weren't there. I go all the way back to 1948. I'm 77 years old. I've got a reasonable memory and I can remember most things. I grew up with native people. We went to school with kids in Sister Kate's home in Queen's Park. I lived at number 131 Radium Street, Welshpool. I moved from there to the Pines in Motorvale. The Seventh-day Adventists bought it. We had to sell the lease back and move out. That was the conditions of sale and everything. We complied with it all. But all the time we were travelling away and working for the roads boards. They were paid out of consolidated revenue. Why do we have to put up with idiots calling themselves a government, making laws and everything else without a parliament, calling themselves local government? Yeah, I had a heck of a lot of things. Anyway, I've had enough. Jody Island, I was born here. I'm not going anywhere. This is my home. Absolutely is, and you're a native just like everybody else. So you have a wonderful weekend. I hope truth wins, not lying, filthy traitors. All the best in the election. Or selection, whichever way you want to put it.